I'm here with two very important people tonight. After a very cool day on the range, I got Frank Visco, otherwise known as Shot Less Taken. And I got my good friend JP here tonight. We're going to talk all things surrounding basically artwork, I think, and beyond within the community that we're heavily involved in. And I'm super stoked to do that. Boys, welcome to the show.
What up? What up?
Thank you for having me.
Frank, you're up from Santa Clarita, California, which is, what is this, 5.5 hours?
4.5, 5 hours. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Came in yesterday. And we got to spend the day on the range with you today doing some fundamental movement is what I would kind of refer to it as with the carbines today. Because JP took us through a little bit of movement with a bunch of our other guys today, and we had a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time. I think we had a good group too, so it was easy once things picked up that they really got going.
Yeah.
It was solid, yeah. It was definitely eye-opening for me, yeah.
In what way?
I don't get to do a lot of that, actually putting a lot of the stuff that I soak up into action. So I where I am, I don't have anybody that I can go out with, really. I go out by myself when I go out.
Do you go to like ranges or?
I go out to the desert.
Okay. The desert.
Yeah.
So talk about that. Like, so I think we covered a little bit of this prior to the show, but you're out in Palmdale, which is where
Santa Clarita.
Okay.
I grew up in Palmdale.
That's right. So you are in Santa Clarita. So if you were going to go out and shoot for the day, or you just want to, hey, I want to get out for a couple hours of shooting, where do you go?
45 minutes north to Roseman.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's like high desert.
Yep.
That fair to say?
Very high desert.
And is it like BLM out there? Like,
mostly. Yeah. And crackheads.
And so that's
good thing you have guns.
So why does it, whenever you get open space, you get crackheads? Because JP and I were out in Las Vegas last weekend, basically for 3 solid days with the boys from Triple Feed. That was an awesome time. But we spent some time out in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
With the crackheads. I mean, the deal is like, I don't know if you've ever had this experience while you're out there. Like, we're out there shooting, like, and there's a lot of people out there shooting. I mean, it's like, if you can imagine going to like the lake or the beach, people roll up in their cars, they get out their lawn chairs, their coolers, like their little umbrellas or whatever out, and they sit out there and they're shooting. They're kind of set up, and you kind of just do this anywhere. Like, there's no designated space to do it. It's just kind of wide open. So you're out there shooting, but you have to be very aware, because at any moment somebody could come rolling through your range.
How it is at the spot I go to. Yeah.
Yeah. Like on a 4-wheeler or so, like on a motorbike or something like that.
I've been out there, and there's several mountains, rocky mountain outcrops, and we're shooting against one. And guys on quads and dirt bikes came rolling around the top of the mountain right where we were shooting. It was super sketchy. We were like, holy shit. Like,
that's why I try not to fuck with BLM when I can help it, like BLM land, because like I went to this really beautiful place past like Sonora Murphy's.
I love it up there.
So nice in the mountains. And there's like this granite valley where like, okay, so it's this huge valley, so you can shoot, and it's like a couple 100 yards out. But there's only like one way to shoot. And dude, this fucking like bum just decides to walk in front of our shooting line. And the valley's like 200, 300 yards long.
Like, where did this guy come from?
Yeah. So he comes up from behind us, and like we all just kind of stop shooting, and we just try to assess what's going on. And then he just decides to walk in front of our shooting line. So we pretty much, that ended our day, because we have no idea where he went from there. He just like went all the way through the valley.
Yeah.
Like,
so he could be out there somewhere, right?
Anywhere. And so we're like, it looks like we're done fucking shooting.
It's interesting. People that are listening to this that live in other parts of the country be like, dude, get the fuck out of California. Like, what is wrong with this? I mean, so I'm going to say 2 things about it. Yeah, you're right. A lot of us probably would like to at some level, but also at the same time, I would say fucking grow up, because that's not realistic for us. We have businesses here. We have families here. Like this whole thing about like, well, you could easily just leave there and leave it behind. There's a few things I want to say about that. Like, number one, no, I have my family here. This is where I grew up. And just because the politics here suck, right? And I'm just going to be up front about it. I don't agree with the majority of them. That doesn't represent the majority of us that live here. It really doesn't. Exactly. And politics is handled a particular way. And I don't think we need to make this a fully political conversation. However, I think it'll come up. for somebody sitting in some other state that's way more, let's just say pro-gun, or let's say way more about the Constitution of the United States and not fucking with it, for you to sit there and go, well, you guys just need to get out of there, and that's the easy solution. It's not an easy solution, and we shouldn't have to do that. And you know what? Yep. You shouldn't be saying that, and I'm just going to be upfront about it. You could be a little bit more supportive instead of continually trying to divide us. And there's all this shit about California just needs to fall off into the ocean and float away. You know what? That's part of this country. And the more that happens, and the more that you accept that, and the less tolerant you become about it, the worse it is for all of us. It doesn't help us. And I don't want to get up on a soapbox and continue down this path, but going back to the whole, like, we're going out to BLM, we just want to go out and, shoot and be free and whatever. It's a very overpopulated state, and there's some crazy shit that we run into. But as we just said, like, we were just out in Nevada where you can do anything and everything you want.
Pretty much anything.
And it's the same.
They're all just having a party out there. Like, well, you guys don't shoot this stuff? I'm like, nah, man. Out in California. So I feel like there's a few ways to look at that. I have a little bit different perspective, even though I agree with what you say. I agree with that. But I also think, like, I think in my head, like, I don't want to be here because of all that stuff, XYZ, like what we deal with, the taxes, and it's just so expensive to own a business here, to live here, deal with all like the anti two-way stuff that they're always testing on us and letting the other states, like, right. You know what I mean? Like, we're the
see what happens in California first.
Yeah, that's the thing too. If we just give up and leave, it's just going to spread to every other state.
Yeah,
just
so
like
there's
it's happening in Washington.
Yeah, you should be saying thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like a thing that I've run into people that are like, well, dude, they need strong people here to fight for it. And so I agree with that too. So I actually don't have a firm stance because I would love to move. But like you said, like, I own a business here. All my relationships are in California, majority of them, or like in this area. So like, if that's the case, it's really hard for me to just up and leave. Right. Everybody always says, well, it's easy to up and leave. Yeah, but like, I'm building this business and it's going well. Like, and majority of it's in California. But also, to your point, and I do agree with that, there needs to be stronger people here. And if you just like basically leave here to somewhere else and you let this place keep like being a cancer, that cancer is going to spread. So like, I don't actually have the answers for this, but those are the kind of thoughts that run through my head. Like, do I leave? Because I loved Utah. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah, but then also, like, if you leave here, then there's nothing but like bitches that live here, and that's going to spread to the rest of the fucking country.
You said bitches.
Yeah. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. Which I think is a good segue kind of into the next thing here, because Frank, in our brief conversation, I'll let you tell the story. Firearms is in the 2A community is something you've always been, very much about, right? But there's also this art side of what you do, and in photography. So I'm just going to kind of set this up a little bit. So here's what I know. I spend probably way more time than I should on Instagram because, right, and our community is growing very large there, and it's awesome. I mean, I love it. There's so many connections. I mean, bottom line is these connections, we would not be sitting in this room right now had it not been for social media. As much as I loathe it, and I have this like deep internal resistance to it, for a lot of the things that it is and that it does, there's also this benefit to it. And so I recognize the power and the positivity that can come out of it. And so you found a way to mix your passions, that is photography and art, with the firearms community. And I see you growing as one of the premier photographers sort of in our space. And there's not very many people like that. So I think there's sort of a big conversation we can have around the community as a whole, and what you do to bring people together, which is really about what JP and I are trying to do here, which is just bring the community together, make it stronger, and share across the board knowledge and fellowship, if you will, support, and just community as a whole, for all the things that word means. So maybe just give us a little bit of your background and kind of how we wound up here today. Maybe you tell the story.
Yeah. So I appreciate it. Thank you having me here. JP, we connected. I was just posting stuff, and he followed along for a while and liked it and said, hey, maybe take some shots of my gear. And then we just kept talking and it went from there. But my backstory, I guess, I've always been into photography. My dad was into photography. I started doing like portrait and lifestyle photography,
which is a common place to start. Right?
Yeah, it definitely is. Especially with the whole Instagram thing and like the whole filters and everything. And yeah, so I started there. I didn't really, it just stayed as a hobby. While I just worked a normal job. I used to work at Lowe's, for years. But I've always been into, my dad was in the Marines. So I was always in the military stuff. I love the military. I love gear, guns, technology, all that stuff. And I always loved firearms. So it wasn't until the last like 5 years though that I really started getting into like training and actually going out and putting a lot of that into practice. And then 2015, I was actually diagnosed with cancer. Testicular cancer I had. And I think that was like the turning point where I was like, all right, I got to do something else. It kind of paused my life for a couple of years. So I was just, still just working, trying to figure things out. I guess it paused my life for more than a couple of years. I just kind of fell into a cycle, you know, the rat race. So COVID happened and that just kind of was like, all right, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be part of this rat race anymore. I need to do my own thing. So, I quit my job. And I just started, I started posting photos before that, but I just kept posting and, kind of led me here now. And I was just like, I'm just going to combine the two things, photography and firearms and just see what happens. And a lot of people seem to love it.
I think a lot of people is an understatement.
Yeah, dude. I think you're like hands down one of the best at what you do, like your genre of photography. And I don't think that you would get the hundreds of thousands and millions of repost views that you get if that wasn't the case, you know? That's pretty interesting. I didn't know that COVID drove some of this, which is something that's the same thing for me in my business.
Yeah, cool. It was. I know. I heard you talk about that as well. It was weird. I guess it wasn't. It kind of just happened. I was like, I can't work here anymore with this shit. Like they were. It was crazy. You know, you had to go 8 hours a day wearing a mask. Customers coming in yelling at you. If I was doing like freight and stuff too, and like they'd come up and ask a question while I'm sitting there throwing around boxes and stuff, sweating my ass off. I pull my mask down because I want to fucking breathe. Right. Yeah. And they'll come up to me. They want to ask me a question, but they'll get mad at me for not wearing a mask. And they're like, "Can you pull your mask up? Like, do I need to get your manager?" Like, yeah. And then I pull it up.
This is the conversation we're having.
Yeah. And then I pull it up, and then they're just like, "Oh, okay, hey." And they ask a question. This is weird. And then actually, I guess there was a few moments that happened while I was working. I would go in at 5 a.m. 6 a.m. every day. I'd wake up at 5, and like for like a week, in 1 week, I had like 3 different people come up to me at like 7:30, 8:30 in the morning, and for whatever reason, I was helping with something, and the topic came up of like when I came into work, and they were like, "You come into work at 6 a.m.?" Like, dude, I'm sorry. Like 3 people said that, and I was
wait. These are people that you work with?
No, customers.
Okay, gotcha.
They said they're like, "You come in at 6 a.m.?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, it was just normal. I mean, they're like, "That's like, I'm sorry, dude." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I can't do this."
Wait, the fucking disconnect. Hold on just a second. Like they're shocked that people start their work day at 6 a.m. in the morning.
I mean, I didn't think anything I don't like it. I'm not that much of a morning person, but yeah, that kind of like, I was like, yeah, I kind of don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. So
because like, I didn't care about the work either. You know, it wasn't fulfilling.
Yeah. You're not like changing anybody's life working at Lowe's. So that can be I'm sure that can, and you're an artistic guy, right? Yeah. So it's like, what impact am I really making here? Mm-hmm. But God, like, it's so funny to me that people would be so disconnected. I mean, I think you said like 5 or 6 people it took before you're like, wait, something's not right here. Like, because the irony in this whole thing is that, Lowe's, which does a lot of business with contractors, right?
Mm-hmm.
That which is the blue collar, fabric of America. If you talk to a contractor that starts past 6 a.m. in the morning, I guarantee he's not making any fucking money. Like the whole world, the whole labor union, every labor union in the United States of America starts at these types of hours. But you have this disconnect because people now are off work. They don't have to go to work, right? They're getting free money, right? They're working from home or whatever. No, I'm going to do that project that I always wanted to do. And they walk into Lowe's and they talk to the guy who's starting work at 6 a.m. and they feel sorry for you.
I don't know if it was just those, like I said, it was a few people inside of a week. And I was working in the paint department at the time. Maybe that was why. I guess I wasn't getting a lot of the contractors over there. But yeah, I don't know what they were doing.
What a trip. So, okay. So you kind of come to your wit's end. There's a lot of things happening, right? So you have your own personal views, maybe political views. You've been through some challenges in your life. I mean, you mentioned the cancer thing. I mean, that's deep, dude. I mean,
yeah, that was.
I've had people in my life that have wrestled with that, and I can tell you, it takes a very, very strong person to come through and out the other side. And they're the ones that do the best, generally the ones that have some type of support system. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I was very fortunate. I didn't have to do chemo or anything. It was early. It was like pre-stage 1. Whatever.
So they caught it early.
Yeah. And I had surgery, took a nut and that was it.
These things happen.
Yeah.
Right?
And that was it. I didn't have to, they said you can do chemo if you want. But it wasn't metastatic. So it wasn't necessary. They said there is a chance of it coming back, but with testicular cancer, it's such a low recurrence rate. It's not, from what my urologist at the time told me, he said it's the only cancer that's considered curative if you catch it before it's metastatic and it's removed.
So if you're going to get cancer, this is what I've heard too. Like if you're going to get cancer and they catch that one early, that's the one you want as a male.
Yeah. It's famously, who's the biker, the cyclist?
Lance Armstrong.
Yeah.
His shit spread though.
He was, he found a lump. They let it go for years. He just thought it was a cyst from riding a bike so much. And his actually spread to his brain, which doesn't normally happen with this testicular cancer. And his lungs and like everywhere else. And he had a golf ball sized tumor in his head. And he's still, they took him all out and they put him on chemo and he went through hell, but still came out. That if that was any other cancer, he wouldn't have made
probably
it. Yeah.
Right. Wow. What a crazy challenge. I mean,
but yeah, like
you're an employee of Lowe's at this point.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
But
so
yeah, like I said, I was fortunate, so I didn't have to go, through the chemo and stuff. And I've been good since.
Good.
Yeah.
So you'd been through quite a bit of shit, to say the least, at this point, and then you come into this other world that we've all lived in, and for some, I'm going to be frank. Sorry, no pun intended. It's been a mild inconvenience at worst for a lot of people. The things that have happened to businesses, the things that, they've had to deal with. That said, sounds like you just kind of reached your wit's end.
Yeah.
So is there like a tipping point? Is there an absolute, like, that's it, I'm done? Did you like quit, walk out the door?
No, actually, I got really sick. Actually, I just had a really bad, some sort of infection in my throat. It wasn't COVID. I was out for like 2 weeks, and I was just like, I can't go back. That was it. I was just done. I was like, I'm just gonna live off my savings for a little while, figure it out. Yeah.
So that was the transition.
Yep.
And
I got sick. I was out for like, I don't know what was wrong, but I went to the doctor. They were like, yeah, there's some sort of infection in your throat. Just rest. And I was out for like 2 weeks, and then I was like, I can't go back.
Okay. So you transition into and by the way, so along the way, to be clear, you were doing this sort of portrait photography, wedding photos, things like that. Yeah,
just for friends and stuff. Yeah.
All right. So talk about the moving into where you are now.
I literally just started posting photos, and I would just reach out to people if they wanted stuff done. Like, hey, do you need any media? And
particularly in the 2A community.
yeah.
So the photos that you're posting at first, I'm not familiar. I mean, I know you now. I don't know if I've dug deep enough in the feed to know what you were doing. You know, however,
Just my own stuff.
Just your own gear
Mhm.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, even if I take photos for someone, I usually just post my own stuff on my Instagram page. Anything else I'll put on my website.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're doing this for a while. What's the initial kind of feedback or maybe it's feedback, but what's your initial take on this? You're just doing it because you're like, this is like cathartic for me. I get to do this. This is my creative. I don't really care what comes back on the other end. I'm just doing this for me. Or was there something else there?
I want to insert myself into that community and that industry, and hopefully make something of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm selling prints, which is cool, but if I could get involved with some team, media team inside this industry, that would be awesome.
Okay,
that's my goal, I guess.
Oh, that's the longer term. That's the bigger goal. Okay, so you're putting out this stuff, but it's unique. I mean, I don't know, JP, you reached out to the guy, when you started seeing what he was putting out there, but to me, it's unique. There's a feel to it. Like there's texture to it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird for me because I just, I tried to follow a lot of people who might have cool product photos or maybe products with good, like even if let's say Goon Tape, they're a company that sells just tape.
Yeah, which is like, how do you make that cool?
Yeah,
right?
But their photography is
job,
pretty good, man. It's really good. My point in bringing them up is that like if I get inspired by somebody's photography, because I personally like camera stuff, I just never have the time to get better, I guess. But I'm into that and I appreciate it. So I found him randomly, I think through a hashtag, I want to say, of looking through other people's photography and stuff like that.
Power of social media.
Yeah, dude. And your stuff looks a little different now. Not necessarily like the tones and colors.
I've changed. I try to try different things, go back and forth, see what works.
Yeah. You've been evolving, I think, for the better. And initially it was just like, oh, this guy's cool. I'll give him a follow. I like his stuff. And I liked a bunch of his stuff. So he knew yeah, man, I dig your shit, And then I think him and me traded conversation just about shit that's going on.
It was when you were traveling, you did that. You went through all these different states.
Yeah,
and you posted some videos about Utah. And I remember commenting on one of your stories about it and agreeing with you. And then I think that's how we started talking.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And honestly, in the beginning, even though I appreciated what he did, I didn't really reach out or anything like that. I just was had an appreciation. And after I found out that him and me agree on a lot of things, think alike on a lot of things, and he's actually a cool guy, I was like, hey man, you're already really good at what you do. I mean, it wouldn't hurt. I consider you a friend now. I'll send you some shit, and if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, no hard feelings. I like what you do and consider you a friend. And dude, on my end, I'm getting way more than I'm giving this guy. You know what I mean? So I'm just glad that he likes it. But he definitely, in terms of what I'm seeing, maybe I'm wrong because I'm so spread thin with everything that I do, but I think he's better than anybody who does product photography, setup photography. No, I do, dude. I know that there's some other big names that do some cool stuff. I want to say Jim's Goon Life is another good one that does staged products and stuff.
Auto seer.
Yeah. And so
I'm definitely not the first to do anything like this. There's some great guys out there who've done amazing work, and that's what inspired me. I just started putting stuff out, and just like them, and thought, what the hell?
Yeah. So we've talked about, JP and I talked about this at length before, sort of on other podcasts and with other folks in the industry, and that there's so much happening in the industry in the last couple of years. I mean, the new members within the community, or those that want to be active now that may have been, sort of on the fringes, is going like wildfire.
Yeah.
And part of that has to do with it's becoming a little bit more normalized in a lot of levels. And that has to do with how it's being presented out there. The other thing is there's so much new gear. There's so much new equipment. There's so much new stuff.
Video games too.
And the
gaming
fucking
community.
video games, which
Yeah.
I mean, I was just having this conversation.
missed
JB
the
was
boat,
telling me this
dude.
wild story about how he's going to this Halo tournament, you know, and he's meeting these
That
guys.
was crazy.
and whatever. And we were just having this conversation the other day. I'm like, no, I still like, I can't, but yes,
That
the
is
video
a
games.
huge entrance into this community, I feel like, and it's definitely helping it grow because it's a relatively small industry, I feel like, but there's a lot of interest in it, but it's still relatively small. So when it does grow, it's like it grows fast, and it's like all of a sudden like holy shit.
Yeah, and people just want to kind of gobble it up.
And then like the assault weapon ban ending back in the earlier 2000s, that obviously helped too. And then the AR market just blew up.
Yeah, so there's
Agreed.
with that,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of stuff. So there's things like what JP's doing, which would be, you know, obviously the base plates and the other innovation. We won't talk about that on the podcast today. You guys will have to wait and see what that comes out. But I have some insight to it, and I'm fucking stoked about it. To be continued. But there's also becoming a little bit. There's style, right? That's coming with it. There's a personalization to it. It's because the civilian consumer is jumping into the market. It's opening it up to all these different things that it wasn't before. Before it was very law enforcement focused or very military focused, which was, let's just say, it was very vanilla. It's not that the gear wasn't cool, but it wasn't accessible to us as civilians.
Well, dude, before I'd say, let's just say 5 to 8 years, there was 2 types of gun accessories. There was, this is going on military, so it's green or tan. This is going on law enforcement, so it's black.
Yeah.
And then this is Jake.
Yeah.
So it's fucking purple, pink, and baby blue.
We see Jake Hunter's a very good friend. This fucking kid is amazing out
He's
there.
an
He's a
outstanding
USPSA shooter. But yeah, so there's this other different kind of, let's call it a little bit more eclectic community somewhere out there. But yes, so now it's kind of wide open, and what you're doing is showcasing all that stuff. With
Dude,
your
it's,
own,
it's definitely
take.
self-expression, because I've even seen with like some of your kit that you lay out, like even the way you do it, or like even the way you utilize Goon tape or whatever, like I can tell that that's just you like seeing what you want to see. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it's not just like cookie cutter, like a clone rifle or something like that, dude. Like that's you. That's how you like your shit, and you're putting it, you're laying it out like on a product table or whatever. And maybe, like you said, it's just art for you. So maybe you didn't even do some of this for other companies. It's just what you genuinely like, and it comes out like self-expression.
Yeah. So I guess when I look at it and I look at kind of what you're putting out, there's also not it's very clear to me that you just said it, JP, that you're doing what you want to do, right? You haven't sold out, right? It's not somebody else's ideas that you're trying to somehow put together for them, right? Like somebody's not telling you, well, we want to kind of see this thing, so Frank, you use your creative to make our shit look a certain way. So it's bringing, it's highlighting a lot of different brands, whether, again, you're sponsored by them or not. And what I've recognized is those brands just appreciate how you're representing their product. That is an art, because a lot of people have tried to do that before. They'll be like, take our shit down. You do not have our permission to use our stuff. And this is the opposite for you. They're like, if Frank takes a shot with our stuff in it and represents our stuff within his artwork or his photos, like they're pumped about it. They're reposting it, right? They're like, check this out. And they're okay doing it while you're also showcasing other people's products. I don't know anybody else that's been able to do that.
Yeah, that says a lot, dude.
I don't know. I honestly don't know anybody else that's been able to do that. So,
it's cool. I appreciate all the kind words. Geez.
No, dude, really though, think about it. I've had companies that also make base plates like or repost somebody else's gun with like their slide on it, or maybe their compensator or something like that, but it has like train with purpose base plates, and they won't tag me, and they'll like do everything they can to not give me credit. You know what I mean? But they'll like or share somebody else's post. And when you do it, dude, they don't even give a fuck. Like, this shit's so fire, dude. Let's just post it, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you have all kinds of brands that are out there, you know, reposting it or whatever. And again, like, what does reposting really mean? So I think this is a good transition space or a place to transition into. Where does this go, man? So like, I heard you say like, you'd like to be picked up by maybe some media team to be a part of their thing. But there was a point there where you decided, I'm doing my own thing. I'm gonna live off my savings, but that doesn't put food on the table living off your savings. So how do you turn what you do, I guess, into a business?
Yeah. I mean, if I can create my own media house doing this kind of content, then I'll do that. And that I'm looking at that as well. The like getting the print side up, selling the prints is one way I want to go about that, just to support it. So honestly, from here on out, I mean, I'm just kind of going with the punches. So like, I mean, I don't have a plan. I don't have like a specific, I'm not really a businessman. But I mean, I like to think I'm not stupid. So I'm just kind of hoping it pans out. I mean, I want it. So that's what I'm going with, you know, like, I don't want to just give up. I've made that decision.
Please don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be so disappointed if you did that. Like, I think a lot of other people would be too. You know, the way I see it is, you know, like if there's a range day, right? Or if there's a new product release, or if there's a show where people are releasing, you know, there's multiple brands or whatever releasing their product, or there's some type of a get together where you're going to have influencers or whatever. I mean, I see guys like you being coveted and reached out to be like, hey, we're going to be doing this thing. Will you please come like as a guest? And because if you're taking photos, here's what we do know about Frank. Like, Frank's not going to put out garbage. Like, what it's clear when you put something out is there's not when I say there's not a lot of it, you do a pretty good job of posting content regularly, but it's not like you're posting 8 times a day. Right. Like, you've just taken a bunch of photos. Like, I have to post. It's clear to me that you're very calculated about what it is that you put out.
Super OCD too.
Yeah. I get that.
Something's a little bit off and I do post it, I'll usually take it down because it'll bug me too much.
Right. So, and I think that is
it's beneficial for what you do.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, that's what any good artist is going to do. Like, I cannot put something out there that doesn't represent absolutely everything I want it to. And maybe, you know, I thought it did when I put it up, but you know what? It doesn't. So I'm taking it down. But like today, we're out there on the range and I cannot wait to see what you captured. Yeah, because most of what you do is product photos.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely something different for me. Being out there, getting those action moments and whatnot. So yeah, I'm interested too. I can't wait to see. Yeah, I haven't looked at any of them yet.
So let's talk about something that we recently saw, which I was inspired by, because I believe, you know, JP and I talked about this. We saw this come out. Was it Monday? It was Monday or Tuesday. We saw some things that you put up. They're actually of you, which is the first we've seen of this.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some photos, I think, if you dig deep in your feed, you know, maybe of you somewhere in there. But this is the first time we actually saw you with, you know, in the images. And I was inspired by that because, and I think JP was too, because what it showed is that you were inspired by something. And I'm wondering if you could maybe talk to kind of what drove those photos versus the other ones.
I think just wanting to diversify the content that I was putting out. We went up to a friend's ranch this past weekend, and they have like 500 acres of land up in or up from where I live, south of here. And we just went up there, and my girlfriend actually took those photos with me like guiding her. She's not a photographer.
No shit.
Yeah. I literally was like, I showed her how to use my camera a little bit. And then I kind of set it up to where she didn't have to really change too often, and just kind of guided her through the shots as I was just kind of moving around those buildings and whatnot. But sorry, I lost my train of thought. Where was I getting with that?
No, I was just going, what drove that? Yeah. What inspired that? What inspired that?
Just diversifying the content. I mean, other media that I've seen other companies putting out, tactical type firearms marketing media and stuff. But yeah, mostly just wanting to put out different content for people because I have a lot more followers now. So I don't feel like just putting out the same thing over and over and over again, even if I can change it up a little bit. I kind of just wanted to diversify. Yeah. And hope, and other people will see that and be like, oh, he can do this and this.
Yeah, I think that's good, man. Because even I was telling Scott, I was like, when he comes out here, maybe we'll do some gym stuff, maybe we'll do some range stuff. And I don't need you to do anything for us. I already appreciate like all the stuff that you've helped me out with. I more so wanted to see if we put you in that environment, what you would come up with. Mm-hmm. Right. And like when I seen that, I was like, oh, well, shit, he already came up with some good shit before he even got here.
Actually, I guess the part of it was that also because I knew we were going to be doing this, and we at the last minute got invited to that ranch, and I was like, this is a perfect opportunity to do stuff like that. So yeah, that was another part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I see this kind of, I think it was a bold move, and I think you nailed it. I mean, you can do. Here's the bigger picture for me. Like, I think there's so much opportunity, in the industry and, at large, particularly with regard to photography and showcasing things. And I think it's this whole other piece of our industry that we've been missing for a long time. We see product photos when somebody releases a new product, they take pictures of the product, they put it on there, and it's purely to sell the product. I mean, that's right. What it is. It's putting it out there. But yeah, there are a few people out there, and again, you being one of those people that are not doing that. You're putting it out there just to showcase this again, lifestyle artwork piece of it.
Badass pieces, badass gear,
right?
Cool photos,
yeah. Things that you think are badass, things that you think are cool, and again, that's art, right?
Yeah,
and it speaks to me in a different way, and I've seen a lot of other great stuff. It's not, look. You're not the only photographer out there, right?
No.
There are a lot of other great ones out there, but I just see your shit kind of taking off. And I think that's just speaks to the fact that you're speaking to other people.
Yeah. I almost felt bad when I was sending you more stuff than just the first couple things I sent you because we're at homies or whatever. Like when I was like, all right, dude, we need to get some gun co in your hands so you see how that feels. I almost felt bad with that because I was like, there's such purity. So like your pictures, like you and your expression, and I was like, I hope you like it, because if you don't like it, I'm actually not mad if you don't use it, because I wouldn't want to ruin that. You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I didn't know either. I wasn't, for whatever reason, I wasn't familiar with them before meeting you.
We're talking about Gunco.
Yeah,
the Gunco here in San Jose.
So yeah, I didn't know either before I got it. I was like, well, what's the chicken look like? Because like I tend to be more on the not like clone side, but more of a traditional military take on a lot of my gear and how I set things up. But I still dabble in other of some of the more aesthetic modern day gear and customizations. But yeah, no, it was awesome when I got them. I was super appreciative of that and glad to have them in my photos. Yeah.
So let's talk about that military piece. When you mentioned that, I think a lot of, you go back to the video games, right? And kind of the sensationalization of modern warfare, if you will. I mean, there's a lot of people in the industry now that have known for the better part of their life the fact that we've been at war. And there's highly skilled warfighters out there, and they have this really crazy gear. There's a lot of technology there. It looks good. I mean, let's be honest. These people that are doing this are well built. They're high speed movers. They got cool shit. They look great after dark. They look good in their stuff, and so I think that inspires a lot of this.
Those Magpul videos. From I was like 17 when they came out. They did that series of DVD releases, and I would like watch those things all night.
So this is where I was going with this. So talk about the point and your inspiration for doing what you do, right? Because you mentioned the military piece, and I think there's a lot of people out there, that I'm one of those people to some extent. Like I didn't go through the military. It's actually one of my bigger regrets in life that I didn't do that.
Same here, honestly.
You know, I have my own story about that, and you know, those that have been in the military go, yeah, you're a fucking pussy because you didn't do it and whatever else. That's fine. I'll live with that. That's fine if that's the way you want to think about it. I just made my own choices. Those were my decisions for the reasons that I needed to make them. But the point of that is I always highly respected it, and I was always, I wouldn't say fascinated, but I was very respectful of kind of what I was seeing out there. So I'm curious kind of where that fit in for you and how you got to where you're at.
Probably exactly, pretty much the same. I always wanted to go into the military. My dad was in the Marines.
Okay.
He was stationed in Okinawa, Japan. He worked on like C-130s, electrical work on airplanes and stuff. But I don't know, it just never lined up with my, I guess, my personality. I as much as I like the military and I feel like I would have enjoyed going through it, I feel like it just wasn't for me. Like I feel like well, maybe I wouldn't have enjoyed it, but because I like to do things my way. So I think that was just ultimately, as much as if I could get past all that and just like be in the military, I get that sounds stupid, but
I don't think it does at all. Like if you know, right?
Yeah. I just think it wouldn't have ultimately lined up. I think it was for the better. Yeah.
Okay. So dad was a Marine.
Yeah. He was a Marine.
All right. Was there a history before that?
My grandfather was in the Army, on my mom's side.
Okay.
I think that's it. I don't know about further back than that, but,
all right. Yeah. So were you a video game guy?
Yeah, I was a video game guy. Battlefield, COD, Call of Duty. I wasn't on the Halo train. I liked it, but I wasn't on the, it just wasn't my style, but I played Halo 3 a lot. Yeah.
I mean, you guys, this is a foreign language.
Well,
I can't even engage in this conversation.
I'll tell you right now, if I want to not be competitive whatsoever, I play Call of Duty because I feel like my optics are seeing what we would train out there on the range. Like I'm seeing EOTechs, I'm seeing AR-15s, I'm seeing like D-balls, things like that. If I want to be hyper competitive and just shit on kids, I'll play Halo. And because it's not the same, dude. You're playing a video game when you play Halo. Yeah, there's communication, teamwork, all that shit. But the optics aren't seeing. You're playing with like space guns and shit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So for me, like I feel like if I'm just casually trying to stay in the same train of thought and like doing range training or even like military or whatever, working on all that stuff, like
that's Call of Duty.
Call of Duty is what you want to do, or Battlefield. Okay. Right. So I totally get that, dude. I don't even know why I'm into Halo, but I love Halo.
Because you like shitting on kids?
A lot of people do. It like grabs people. I don't know. It just pulls them in.
Interesting. So let's go back to this question about like making a living doing this, because I think people are like, oh, that's cool, you shoot photos. I mean, it's like this is the same fucking question any artist gets, right? Like, that's cool, but what's your real job? You know, like, by the way, like I still get this as a gym owner. Like, you know, if I say I'm a coach, and I've always kind of, you know, identified as that. Look, I'm just a fucking personal trainer. That's all I ever am. That's all I ever was. I just happened to have figured a few things out. Like, and then they always ask, so what else do you do? How do you make your money? Like, what's your real job during the day? How do you expand this? How do you make a living or and earn money as an artist in this field? And then I think then the next question is in this genre, because if you said to me like, well, I'm a photographer and I like doing portraits and wedding photos, that is something that every single human on the face of this earth can relate to, because from when they were probably a little kid, there were portraits being taken like at elementary school, right? And then you went into high school and you had your senior portraits, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that shit costs like $800, right? Oh, that's, you know, well, let me do the math on that. If I did a bunch of shoots with a bunch of kids, you know, seniors, and I just did that all the time, I make a bunch of money. Then you get married in life. You know, if you do that, you know, that shit costs $3,000, you know, or whatever else. You kind of start to put the thing together. But you're talking about moving into something that's a little bit, I'll just say a little bit more obscure.
Yeah, for sure.
A little bit more narrow in scope.
Especially in California.
Correct. We live in a different place, but the people that are seeing your photos are global, man. I mean, I mean, I'm seeing what's happening on your page, so it's not just California. It's way beyond that. So how do you said being picked up by another team? Okay, that's an option. What else is out there?
I guess just building my own like I said, like my own media house, I guess you would call it.
What would that look like?
I have no idea.
Okay, fair
no
enough.
idea.
Fair enough.
This is, like I said, this is still pretty new to me. So yeah, I'm just rolling with the punches. I'm every day I'm trying to rack my mind and how to do this.
Any exciting projects you're working on now?
Besides JP here, I'm hoping to get some more stuff with SOG knives. They've been really cool.
SOG, yeah. Rad brand.
They're actually the ones that got me out to SHOT Show, which was super cool. I didn't get to do photos for them though. They already had a photo guy booked.
But they asked you to come out.
Yeah, they actually invited me to the they're whoever runs their social media page invited me out to the private event. And they're always like talking to me about my stuff, and so I'm hoping to get some more stuff going with them. So,
I mean, that's
I'm trying
cool.
to think if I have anyone else on the back burner right now. I don't think so.
You will, dude. I have a couple, I have a couple people that I'm already trying to get some stuff in your hands. We have to talk about that later, though. Cool. But yeah. So in terms of you moving to action shots and stuff like that, now are you planning on moving to going into product photos on people, or just keeping like the staging with like the tables?
That's something I've wanted to do. I just don't have the space where I am. I'm using our living room. Yeah, I just don't have the space. And then I also don't have anybody there to, I mean, I could do myself. Yeah, that would be something I'd definitely be into.
Okay.
So you're basically doing this.
I'm assuming you mean like modeling shots, basically.
Yeah.
Like
So like
gear.
For example,
gear.
if you're modeling like a plate carrier,
Yeah.
right, then you would
For sure,
set
yeah.
yourself up to, highlight the plate carrier, but it would be in whatever scenario you want to capture.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess one of the things I would ask is, like, I see a lot of photos out there being done by the media at large, not necessarily by people that understand what that gear is, who wears it, what the application is that it actually gets used in. And by the way, I'm a civilian, so like I have no military experience. I have no tactical, field experiences as I've been called out before. I don't fucking know any of that stuff. I've never done it before. I never claimed to. My point is like, I know garbage when I see it. Like I know people that are faking it, kind of when I see it. So I imagine that that's kind of a thing out there in the industry. I mean, so I'm going to ask you very point blank, like, you see stuff out there that really bothers you, or like, you just like, this is like, and by the way, they get a ton of follows, or they're clearly doing work for brands that aren't doing any quality control on that stuff, because they're turning out stuff like, why would you even post that? Like,
Right. Yeah.
why would you even post somebody that isn't this wearing gear in a way that is not practical, like it doesn't make sense, or they're posting a weapon setup or something like that, or they're posting some type of gear or whatever. You're just looking and go, what in the hell? Like, how did this get there? How does that make you feel?
I think, it's so there's like some things that bug me, and I'm not calling anyone out, but like the whole Goon Community thing is kind of weird.
So explain this. Explain this for people that don't know what that means.
Nothing against Goon Tape. Goon Tape's they're great guys, great company.
Agreed.
I don't know, maybe the name could be revisited. But that community, I guess, it's just kind of like those the Fed Boy floral shirt thing that was around for a while.
Okay, you don't like the floral shirts.
No, the floral shirts are cool, but when it was placed into that, it was it became they were called something, the Boogie Boys or something. I can't remember.
Oh, the fucking
was that?
Oh, the Bogue Boys, or
Oh God,
What are we talking about here?
why can't I not fucking?
it was just like a
Boogaloo
to a
guys?
Yeah,
meme.
Boogaloo Boys.
Boogaloo Boys, yes, there we
Thank
go.
you.
That was like a thing, and they actually got on like the CIA watch list. and stuff. And like
Okay.
It was so
Sorry, I was a
stupid.
little
And
lost
that's
there.
what I feel like the Goon thing is why set yourselves up to look that stupid, to be honest.
All right. So you're saying you're calling attention to yourself, and it's the wrong kind of attention.
Right. Yeah. And then another thing would be, and I think
So it's not just the floral shirts, just they're
Right.
fucking douchebags.
I was just trying to, yeah.
Okay, because I like floral shirts. I think they're cool. I'm not gonna wear one, but I know. I got buddies that wear them. I love them.
I do agree with this, and I've actually said this to people I know personally. There are some companies with Goon in the name that I initially tried to work with because they were outgoing and our goals aligned, and the name didn't really bother me. But then really driving home on like the ski masks and like
that was
the
my next
grungy
thing.
clothing
Yeah.
and like the AK-47s. I think for self-expression, that might be really cool in a Tyler, the Creator music video. Maybe.
Exactly.
No, really though. I think that it might be cool in that setting. But then when we're all just like, yeah, fuck it, we're goons. Like, hell yeah, bro, rebels. It's like, okay, I don't know. This is a real like question. I don't know if that's the best way to represent the 2A civilian. AK-47s, ski masks, and grunge clothes, like they listen to Nirvana on repeat.
There's nothing. I'm going to go on record. There's nothing wrong with Nirvana, but I think I understand what you're saying in that, like,
Does JP not like Nirvana?
No, I do. No, it's just, you know what it's like. You guys know the fucking 90s and the grunge look where you purposely are wearing the same pair of Converse for the last 10 years.
it's interesting that people. So what I think what I hear you saying is people are trying to find some community within the community, and some of those communities within the community are a little bit off and off-putting.
Yeah, and there's like some foreign rap music playing in the background, and they're fucking driving like shitty cars, and it's like, it's weird because I get I get how people can gravitate to like, oh, that's pretty cool, but also like it's so repetitious now that it's like, how do you think that's gonna pan out for you? That's totally like a hype thing, and it's kind of a negative light that you're shedding on what is one of our freedoms. You know what I'm saying? Like a form of like a representation, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
like a representation of the 2A community would also be like, yeah, like the Boog Boys, but also like Ellie and military. Do you think Ellie and military want to be in the same boat as these civilians with ski masks, AKs, and like purposely dressing down and taping everything instead of stippling? And there's just a level of professionalism, if I can even say that you can tie to one group versus the other. Like, what do the optics see? It's like when Jerry was saying with our shotguns the other day, where he's like, dude, you can be a dickhead and you can go crack, 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 and rack all the shells out, or you can be a professional and slowly like,
I hear you,
drop the forks and piece them out. Right?
So I wasn't picking. I don't think I was on the same page with you to begin with, but I am now, and that is, if we are going to represent this community, there needs to be some type of etiquette and maybe discourse that we use as a community. And so it doesn't need to be military LEO, terminology, language, whatever all the time. And it also doesn't need to be fuddy on the other end. But for those of us that are in the middle,
I love that word.
Yeah.
Fuddy.
But for those of us that are in the middle and are trying to, be part of a community at large, which represents the community's interests, the best we can. Obviously everybody's going to have a little bit of a different take. That's awesome. That's what makes this fucking America, because we can do that here. But what you're saying is there may be extremes or on the fringes, which are, you know what, man, you're making us all look bad. You're being a douchebag. And I'll just give you my opinion on this. It's like the frat boys of the community. And if you're in a fraternity, I don't care if I'm offending you or not, but you were a douchebag when you were in college, and the things that you did with your buddies because you could get away with doing it, and somehow that was cool because there was some agency there while you were doing it. But at the same time, you look like an idiot, and you wouldn't act that way now, and you wouldn't act that way now, except for when you get together with your buddies on your excursion every 5 years to get away from your wife and your kids, and you act like the same douchebag you were, and you're a leopard trying to change your spots. I digress. My point being is you're on the fringes here, and check back with me in 5 years. And let's see if you're still acting like that, if that's still cool.
Yeah. And I think it's like, it just comes down to people being like, I want to be cool. I want to be different inside of this community.
And they're trying too hard.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know if that's the route. I mean, look, dude, like you said, this is America, do whatever you want. And that's just another form of expression. But I don't know if that's the best look on our community, I guess is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. So again, like you're free to do whatever you want to do. And, you know, to your point, like, I'm not really into that. And you don't have to be maybe what I'm saying is fucking grow up. Because when you do grow up, I think you're going to recognize you kind of look pretty lame there.
I do like Hawaiian shirts though. I mean,
there's nothing
I'll
wrong.
never stop.
There's nothing wrong with a solid Hawaiian shirt. Shout out to my boys that wear Hawaiian shirts on the range. I'm not down with your Safariland, wrapped, Hawaiian wrapped holsters. I can't. Like I can't do it. But hey, if you want to, it's fine. It's fine. But I don't know about that. So, do you have any plans to shoot any of that? That floral printed shit in your.
We could try it.
I love that he's open to this. Yeah, he hasn't said no to
get
really
some of those Fed boys liking these photos.
That's true, man. I mean, it depends on the goal, right?
It just makes me think of that photo that came out of those guys from the January 6th protest that was happening, where they were like, there was like 4 or 5 guys who were clearly federal agents of some sort.
Can I just add to something here?
Yeah.
They were also fucking frat boys in college. Right. There's no doubt about it. Those guys were seriously the same dudes. Yeah. The same guys. Yeah. The same guys. Just, 10 years later, and they're still not cool. Case in point. So listen, man, just in terms of projects moving forward and the things that you want to work on, like if you could reach out to somebody, and you don't have to name names, but if you could reach out to like an agency or somebody that would be like, this is somebody that I would really want to work for. Like if there's people that you're looking at out there that you really respect, whether it's an agency or even a company, you're like, hey, I really love these guys, and this is a place that I could see myself aligning with and doing some work with. Who would that be?
Oh boy. Clandestine Media.
I love them. Yeah. I think they do a really great job.
Cool. They're awesome. I don't know that. I think they only hire veterans. I think they only work with veterans.
Yeah, they're awesome though, man.
But
they
they're
do some really great content.
I might be wrong about that actually. They may not just be veterans, but that would be awesome. I don't know who else is there. There's I had another one on my head that I forgot now. Yeah, I can't think right now.
Yeah, no, that is a really great group. Actually, there are several people I follow because of the
Defense MK.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's another really great one as well. Yeah, they do some really great jobs. So they do not just photos, but they also do a little bit of video as well. But it's very diverse with regard to the types of shooting that they do. Photos, that is, some of the stuff. It's anything from aerial photography to riding horses to getting in, on there's marine stuff that being boats, and man, they're really out there. That would be a really cool job to be following people around shooting stuff there on location. It seems pretty constantly. I really like their stuff, and it's quality stuff. It's really good, and they have fun with it.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like they're overly serious about it.
Yeah. They that was another reason why I guess that was another influence of doing those action shots, I guess we call them, at the ranch this past weekend, because looking at clandestine media stuff, that was another influence for those. But yeah.
What about like product companies? Again, you don't have to name names, but are there some like on your list that you're like, man, I'd really like to nail like some product photos for these guys?
Daniel Defense.
Really?
Who doesn't like Daniel Defense?
Yeah, is it because of the aesthetic or the coloring or what?
I just like I said, I like to stick more to the traditional military style, and I feel like they definitely go that route.
Yeah. Did you see their newest rifle at SHOT Show?
The RAS-3, I think.
I forget the name, but
handguard.
It's the new handguard.
Yeah. I actually didn't get to handle it. No, it was crazy at SHOT Show. I was not ready for that.
Yeah. I also think you went on the busiest day too.
Yeah, it was bad. I when I was at Daniel Defense, I couldn't. You
couldn't even get to the booth
because they're right next to EOTech also.
Yeah.
So
Who happens to
And that
really
was-
like your shit, by the way.
Yeah, they do. Oh, that would be another one. Yeah, they're awesome. I've talked to them a little bit. But being there at SHOT Show, EOTech and Daniel Defense were right there. I could barely see anything.
Yeah, I hope so. While I wasn't there, I heard the same thing from a lot of people. I hope that they learn from this experience.
And it wasn't even one of the busier years because there's a lot of people not there.
Yeah, I
friends now.
hope they learn from this experience and recognize the opportunity that exists there, and also try to improve the user experience in that, because I heard that from a lot of people. Like, what was it? It was like Thursday was the busiest day. Was it like Thursday?
I think it was Tuesday or no, sorry, Wednesday.
Yeah, like the early part of the week when they do like the testing of the guns and everything like that.
Yeah, people were really frustrated. Like, they couldn't get to the booths, they couldn't talk to anybody, and that's a great problem to have, as so long as you're working to fix it going forward. You know, or when I say fix it, I guess just improve the experience the next time, because I will be there the next time.
That's kind of crazy to think, right? Like, so you and me just came back from like Vegas and LA and all that stuff, and we didn't have to deal with like the mask thing for the most part.
Right.
Imagine what next year is going to be like at SHOT Show.
Oh, it's going to be insanity.
Yeah.
Insanity. Everybody in the
That's
world
yeah.
after this year is going to be trying to get there next year.
That probably kept a lot of people away. Was the mask thing?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, didn't you get sick after?
This is gonna sound horrible, and actually, I'm not gonna say that. I think I got COVID after I was there. Like the day after we got back, my girlfriend came down with a fever, and then a couple days later, I did. It was very mild, and then we just had like bad body aches for a day or two, and then it was just 3 or 4 days, and it was done. It was the weakest flu I've ever had.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to me that like, so I had some people at my CrossFit gym. They were like, "Oh, it's a SHOT Show. We didn't know you went. We would have said hi or whatever." And I was like, "Oh yeah," and I was there, and they're like, "Yeah, I totally got sick." But like, these people are CrossFitters, so like they knocked it out of the park like in a couple days.
Bro, I didn't go to SHOT Show and I got sick the same time. So like,
yeah,
come on, man.
Yeah,
Like,
I
they ran through our house too. It's like, whatever. We dealt with it. We moved the fuck on, because this is what happens if you're a healthy individual.
Yeah.
You move on. But like I said, I wasn't even at SHOT Show. I got sick the same fucking way.
yeah.
It is what it is.
It was definitely that Omicron going through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Which was,
good.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Good.
No, that's
You had
kind
it.
of the point
Good.
that I was trying to get to, is like, everybody got it, and then everybody's like, "Oh, cool, I'm good, I'm done," you know. And that's like the second time I got it, and I don't like getting sick, but I feel great now.
So let's talk, just, Frank, we're sort of bringing this thing to an end here. Let's talk about your, what you're doing now, and, the people that may be reaching out to you right now. Is there anybody that's reaching out to you what are the most common questions you get? Because I know people reach out to you. You're very active. So
Yeah, I get messages every day just asking me what is that in that photo, of
Just about the
any
product
given part or piece or whatever. And then I get a lot of photo questions. What backgrounds do you use?
like technical,
Yeah.
photo questions.
Usually in messages more than I do in people commenting. For the gear, like what piece of gear is that? It's like half and half in comments or DMs. But then like all the photo questions always go to my messages, and I'm constantly answering those. And if someone asks, I love to help them out. I remember before, because like I started doing product or portrait and lifestyle photos. So like when I was like, I kind of want to do some product photos, like I would watch Peter McKinnon, and his stuff is amazing, and the product photos he does. So that was something that got me into thinking about shooting photos of guns more. So I started asking people, and a lot of them didn't want to. They just ignored it. And like some of these big pages, big guys out there who are super popular in the two-way photography community, and I never got responses. A couple of people did. I'll shout them out. Primer Projects, I think. Primer Projects. He got back to me. He talked to me a little bit, and that was cool. Yeah, I get messages every day, and I just answer questions. Usually, what gear is it, and then what kind of photo setup do you have? But yeah, I was saying, sorry, I got off topic or I got off track there for a second. But I love helping people out. If someone wants to know something, I'll tell them. I don't want to hold anything back from other people, you know, achieving something or getting better at something.
I love that. Just building community and growing together and contributing together.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the theme, like should be the theme all the time. Let's grow together. Let's contribute together. You have something to bring to the table, bring it, contribute to your community. And if you're not sure how to contribute to your community, figure out how, you know, ask people, like, you know, bring your talents, bring your skills to the table.
Yeah. I messaged some guys, a couple guys asking about, like, you know, how do you set up your pricing structure? You know, when you're like putting out, you know, when you're messaging people, trying to get, you know, jobs, you know, freelance work. And these are guys that like I normally would talk to regularly on Instagram. And when I asked them that question, they just never replied to it.
Wow.
And I was kind of like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
The plan and everything's so tight to the vest.
I just wanted to get someone else's take on it. Like I can figure it out myself, but I was just like, hey, this guy, I know he does some of that work. Let me ask him. Never replied. He saw it, but he never.
I think you're doing okay, dude. I know with me personally, and your following is getting bigger than mine, so I shouldn't really be telling you like what you need to do. But
as if that means anything.
I know. It's something, but I know.
Yeah, it's 2022. Yeah, I guess it is.
I do think that a lot of the times I've dealt with reaching out to people and they're like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, what's up? Like, you know, from the beginning stages all the way until now. And now almost every time that I reach out to people, I'll get like an actual real conversation. And there's very few people who actually gave me the time of day. And like, I know I always harp on it, but like Jerry from Triple Feed was one of the very few people that like when I had legitimate questions would answer. And a lot of companies or instructors or whatever, photographers, they don't do that. Like people don't care. They don't want to give back. And because of that, especially if you're running a business, dude, like you get like lifelong customers. I know people tell me that kind of stuff all the time when I'm like constantly responding to messages, or I'll even tell them sometimes like, this isn't for you. Let's do this and then come back to me. And people appreciate that. Not only is it genuine, but they want to be your customer now, because like, even if they couldn't necessarily rock my Gen 3 trigger on their Gen 5, now that I like gave them all this free knowledge and showed them that I give a shit, like they're coming back. Like it's like paying forward. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do know.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. I'm not going to tell anybody else how to fucking live their life. You don't have to spend your time helping people on the internet all fucking day. But I just know I didn't like it when people did that to me, so I don't do it to them. And I think that experience that you and me both lived through in our younger stages of our fucking businesses, right? I think that's made us provide better for who our fans or followers or customers or whatever you want to call them, that we answer messages or respond to. We give them a better product, a better version of us because of that. Right? Yeah.
I have people who have been following since I had like 100 followers that are still active on my page and talk to me. And that's awesome. Yeah, you definitely, I mean, I'm not even offering, besides my prints now, you know, I'm not offering like products or services to them, but they still stick around and comment on everything. They like all my stuff. I'm super appreciative of that. And it's awesome. Like it's new for me. Cause like sometimes, and I'm sorry guys, but I know some of you, like I can't get to everything sometimes, or I forget. I'm very ADHD, and like messages will go and I might forget to respond, and I'm sorry. But eventually I'll get to them, or sometimes they'll get buried. But yeah, no, there's definitely those lifelong followers or customers.
But yeah, cool. It's because like people who give a shit is like rare now. Like, I know you spending a week with me, you're like, fuck, dude, I get it. People don't like their jobs. I'm always like, dude, does this fucking guy hate his job? Does he want this business to go down? Yeah. Like, why did you treat us like that?
Yeah, we had some real awesome experiences. Yeah, this is crazy stuff. But yeah, no, the giving back, the paying it forward, I think we've had, JP and I've had long conversations about this. We've recorded some of those conversations about being in touch with the customer and doing the right thing for the sake of doing the right thing. and you do have to have boundaries. You know, there's only so much bandwidth. I was having a conversation while we were away. You know, this is one of those things, like the message came in, I got the message, then the communication got, you know, there's a little bit of back and forth, and it got lost. Then it came over in a voice message in my text, and that message disappeared. So it disappeared in my queue, right? So I just completely forgot about it. Like I get anxiety if I see like my queue, like my email or my text message queue or my DM queue. I'm like, oh my God, I got to respond to this stuff. Like I can't let it hang.
I do the same thing with just text messages, like from like my family and stuff. Like my sister will text me, and for whatever reason, I'll either look at it and just completely forget to reply for like days, or I just won't see it. And like a few days later, I'm like, wait, that one's still dark. Like I haven't clicked on it. What the hell?
Yeah. How did this happen?
My
right?
dad.
And then you're just like, oh my God, you go through this whole like anxiety attack, you know, of stuff that's going on. So I was having this conversation with this guy. We were in this environment where I was like, I have to take this call. I got to do it. And, you know, I picked up the phone. I was like, Mike, first, I just want to apologize, man. I know the communication's been broken. This is not anything other than, dude, it's just been so much going on. He's like, stop. He just goes, dude, he goes, first, you do not need to apologize to me. I think we feel exactly the same. He goes, the bottom line is humans are not programmed to have the kind of interactions or the number of interactions that we are exposed to now through things like email, social media, text messaging, voice messaging, and everything. It just keeps getting more and more more easy and more easily sent. And it seems the expectation keeps going up and up and up. So I want to highlight this, because what you're saying is like, you didn't like when you were ignored. I don't think, well, I didn't hear you say you didn't like when you were ignored. You didn't like when you were dismissed.
Yeah.
Right. Which is a completely different thing. It's one thing to, you know, I hear Frank saying like, look, I try to get to everybody whenever I can, and I try to give back. Occasionally things get lost. I think that's totally acceptable. Right. And I think that most people would think the same thing. Like, look, dude's killing it right now. He's busy. Like, I'm honored when people respond to me if I reach out to somebody on Instagram, which I rarely do, by the way. Most of my stuff is, you know, some other type of connection. But I am eternally grateful if I reach out to somebody on Instagram and they hit me back. And when people do message, we were out there on the range today, and somebody's like, oh, you know, we posted a few things. He says, oh man, I need a little bit more range time too. And I just sent him back like, hey man, well, here's the next availabilities that I know we're going to be out. You should come over and come out and train. And we went back and forth for a few minutes, and the guy thanked me. He was like, oh man, thanks so much for, you know, having this chat with me or whatever. And it comes just back to that only took 5 minutes out of my day. Now, if you start stacking the 5 minutes on the 5 minutes and you got 100 messages hanging out there, like, you can very easily just be like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm beyond my bandwidth. But was this guy Mike's point. He's like, look, dude, like, we just don't have that much bandwidth. So when this stuff happens, like, don't feel bad. How do you prioritize it all? Right? Where do you put it all? Well, I think you do the best with the situation that's in front of you, and you try to help people the best you can when you can. And if you're doing that, I think people feel it. They get it, and you shouldn't feel bad if you miss a message or two. So
that's very realistic.
Yeah, I think so.
I had a couple questions for you.
Shoot.
First one is, why don't you do videography?
Probably just my gear right now. I have it's not the best for video. That's holding me back.
Yeah, I get it. I've learned that after the last year of fucking with all the Sonys, that like I have one that's great for pictures and then one that's good for the type of video that we do.
Expensive.
Oh yeah, dude. Like, I love my camera stuff. I like really get into it, but I also like want to cry when I think about how much I spent on Sony stuff.
Yeah, it's an investment for sure.
Yeah, I've done video. Did like a music video I shot for a friend. Actually, was surprised myself. It was awesome. Yeah, I think my camera, I have a Nikon D810, and it does HD video, 1080p, but it doesn't. It's just not. It's not like the equivalent Canon of that time did it way better, and then everything that's available now is just leaps ahead of
crazy.
Where it is and
for video.
Yeah,
I mean, because that's a great camera.
Yeah, what I have now is I mean it's everything I need.
It's just not I guess, up to par with the current video status. I gotcha.
Do you plan to?
I would love to.
Okay, so then it's gonna happen.
It's just a matter of gear getting you to that point.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't fucking wait to see that.
Yeah, interesting. That's good to know.
I've done some projects on my own. I should preface that. In my head, I've built projects in the tactical space, tactical gear, firearms space, as a video setup that I would love to put onto paper, so to speak.
Wait, you've created something, but it hasn't been put out there yet?
No, like in my head, like
Okay.
You're piecing it together.
Yeah, I would love. There's some.
Dude, we got to work together and figure this out. Like,
'Cause I love drama, and like something that I like, something that makes you feel something. Kind of with my pictures, I like an energy and an aesthetic that makes you feel something. And if I could do that with video, I think that would be awesome. With music too, applying music to it that makes you feel something. I think that could be super cool. You know,
Yeah,
kind of like
I agree.
telling a story just through some clips and music pieced together in a different way than has been done before. I think it would be super fun and cathartic.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
We can definitely see if we can explore this.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that's good to know. That answers some questions for me personally.
Cool.
But yeah, last thing. If there's one thing, I know we kind of touched on this earlier. If there's one thing that you could change that you think is a negative that could be a positive, that you would make into a positive in the 2A community, what would that be? If I phrase that right. Like, what would you want to change? Because I know you and me have had like some side conversations about shit in the past.
Something I could change that's a negative right now
Yeah.
into a positive. Probably just the what would you, like the cannibalism of our own communities. Kind of with like the whole people saying, well, you should have just left California. That just doesn't help anything.
Yeah.
Eating our own.
I think I agree. I mean, we've talked about,
Yeah.
again, this is a common theme here on the show, which is we need to do a better job as a community and supporting one another rather than tearing each other down.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not against calling out like stupid things like the whole goon thing. That's just,
I gotcha.
but I guess if it does bring more people into the community and understanding firearms and accepting them more, then great. But at a certain point, I think you also need to not look like a kid running around with a mask on and the first time he's held a gun or something.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think it's kind of what I would say about that is I have learned in the last 6 months, I've met more passionate, caring, tolerant, intelligent, and giving people, just gracious people in this community and the things that they do than I've met in most of the things I've done in my life. And I make a lot of comparisons to the fitness industry because that's what I know. And there are a lot of people there that, I owe a huge amount of gratitude towards and try to show and pay forward on a regular basis. And I've made comparisons with regard to kind of what the firearms community is now to what the fitness community was from a social media perspective, sort of 10 years ago. And I want to beat that horse, beat that dead horse too much. But what I will say is there are a lot of people out there that give a fuck. And if you're offended by that, I don't really give a fuck. The point of that is there are so many good people in this community, yet there continues to be these voices out there that understand that they have a voice somehow because they're being loud and obnoxious, and the things that they say are not helpful. They don't represent, I think, the greater good, and I think they know that subconsciously, and they don't care. And I don't think it needs to be handled that way. And it's going to take some time for those other people to continue to be consistent in their message without talking shit about those other people. But I also think it's okay to have convictions, and you just mentioned that. So it's okay. It's okay to call people out, but I think there's a way to do it respectfully and ask them, in a way to maybe kind of rethink what they're doing. But this is what my mother always taught me. But she was also very realistic about this. She always said, listen, son, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. My father, on the other end of things, would say, if you get backed into a corner and somebody throws a punch at you, you better kick their ass. And so I think when we're being backed into a corner and we feel like we have to fight our way out, you have to have a little bit of awareness to what is really going on here. Are you really being attacked? Does this really matter? Because the more oxygen we give to it, the more it can kind of get wildly out of control.
Yeah. I don't really like the Goon stuff, ski mask stuff. I see a lot of those pages. A lot of those guys follow me, I think. I don't say anything to them. I don't care. They can do whatever they want to do, but I'm not going to go be negative about it. Even if they are doing something that looks stupid or doesn't really help our community much, like I just don't say anything, they'll weed themselves out.
Yeah, I agree with you. It will over time. There's going to be a group of people who go, well, dude, you gotta stand up for your rights and you got to call them out. And what you're choosing to do is I'm going to continue to lead by example, be consistent in my messaging. And
well, dude, this community is like one of the most fucking abrasive communities.
It is. It can be.
Yeah. Look, everybody always gives me shit for and we don't have to get into this whole thing right now, but about me running a featureless rifle. You know what I mean? But it's like, dude, you're saying oh, look how funny it is in California. Like, how could you even use that, this, and that? And it's like, yeah, dude, this is where we're at. And realistically, if we wanted to make a change, then we would go try to change policies or leadership. We wouldn't be on the internet, being a keyboard warrior, shitting on the people who are trying to survive and not get put in jail in California. Do you know what I'm saying? And so that's totally the type of shit that our community just does. Everybody has this voice because we all love fucking freedom and the First Amendment and all this kind of shit like that. But then the cannibalism happens, and then you just shit on each other the whole fucking time. Everybody's just shitting, and it's just damn, dude. Sometimes you got to think what's the IQ level of a portion of our community? You know what I mean?
I'll tell you right now, there's a good amount of it that's very, very low. And I just think that which is higher, those which have a higher IQ need to continue to try to be as patient as they can. And in a way, you got to outsmart them. I mean, I'll play your game. If you want to show me, that's fine. I'll play your game. Get yourself educated here, and I'll go down that path with you. But at the same time, I'm not going to stoop. I'm not going to go to that level. And so, again, going back to where you're going, Frank, with the artwork and the things that you're doing from a photo perspective, and maybe what's coming down the pipe from a cinematic or video perspective, and maybe how
that cinematic. I like that.
Yeah, TWP and Iron Sights, Red Dot Fitness might be involved with that. Well, I don't know. We'll talk about it. We'll see what's going on there. But I think there is a way to kind of represent that to where those people that do have that more abrasive approach, it gets drowned out with the more quality messaging and the more intelligent thought process that goes into representing products, representing the community, representing the gear, and the knowledge transfer and things that happen from military LEO to civilian and back and forth the other way. And I do think the more intelligent, louder voice will prevail. But during that time, I guess the call to action is for all those people that are getting really irritated. You're irritated like us. Hey, be patient, hang in there. Just recognize that there are other people out there like Frank, right, who are holding it together for the sake of their own sanity, but also the community, right? So, I think that's another topic for maybe another.
I know
another
for
podcast.
sure it is. I'm trying not to dip into that too much, but
I mean, you went there, so
yeah. I just fucking, man, I hate it so much. I just hate how much everybody shits on each other. It's really easy to be like, well, I have fucking guns, come take it, but just be smart and fucking make changes like with pen and paper and a voice. You know what I mean?
And look, there's strength in numbers. Right?
Yeah.
So there's strength in numbers rather than behind the keyboard. So the question would be for you, Frank, like if people want to reach out to you, right? They want to know more about you, what it is that you're doing, how to be involved with you. Hey, look, I'm a gear company. I'm an equipment company. I'm a firearms company. And I think we need someone like Frank on our team. Where do they go, man? How do they find out about you?
Probably my Instagram's probably the best place. But my website is the same shot less taken, but with the in front, so theshotlesstaken.com. You can message me on there. But I'm always available on Instagram. Shot less taken. One word.
Yeah, you're affectionately known to JP and I as Shots.
Shots.
So whenever we say shots, it's shot less taken.
That song, shots.
Yeah.
You're a fucking Pitbull song.
Yeah, bro.
Dude.
Look,
John.
I just want to say thanks for coming out. Making the trip out here to spend some time with us. And
yeah, it was very cool of you.
Bridge the gap. I'm honored that you're here. I mean, you made the trip.
I'm honored,
and I'm looking forward to spending tomorrow with you and learning a little bit more about you and going out. We're gonna get out to the range again. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna get into the gym a little bit and just a little bit more fellowship. Build a little bit of a stronger bond.
Cool.
JP.
Yep. No, that's good.
Good to go.
Yeah.
Frank.
All right.
You the dude.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you, man. Can't wait to see what's coming down the pipe. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.